Today we are where ancient sand dunes that stretch along the south coast of Wales meet rocky cliffs or South Glamorgan Heritage Coast, where layers of rock have fossils embedded into them and footprints of dinosaurs can be found where the tides recede.
Morning, welcome to Southerndown. This is our little beautiful patch of paradise, I suppose.
Let's have a further look round and we'll invite you to come walking with the Wilcos.
I would imagine they'll start bringing this path in.
It's eroding away.
Yeah. A lot of people would sunbathe on them then.
Would they? Probably still do.
Well, it's more, they say now it's more dangerous because of the rocks falling.
Yeah, of course.
So they kind of stopped that, but when I used to come down as a teenager, everybody would be on them sunbathing.
A bit of a warning, dangerous cliffs.
But from Porthcawl, the view over here is lovely.
Yeah.
Because you'll see all the lines in the cliff, all the layers.
Now that point there is called Witch's Point. When you look down at it, it looks like the tip of a witch's hat. But whether that's the reason why it was called that, I don't know. Now we did come down here to the bottom car park, which is a lot easier. But it's £5 cash, and like everyone else, we don't have any cash with us today, so we had to go up the top car park and walk down, but it's not too far. Although the walk up might be a bit steep.
But you don't slip. Woo!
Oh, careful. And they do a lot of swim clubs here, because it's quite sandy and quite flat. On the headland of Southerndown, where we are, place called Dunraven Castle, which is where we are headed. And there's not much of the castle left. I think there's a walled garden, a laundry, and a gatehouse, and maybe a couple of other buildings. But it was standing up until the 1960s, where it was pulled down.
Hiya!
And what's in there?
It's just the old walled garden.
Should we have a look?
Which is gutting that it's not still a place.
Oh, but it is still nice.
So somebody didn't buy it and keep it.
No, still it was used. The house was used up until, like you say, the 60s. Even though it's not a walled garden anymore, they say the Victorians had it for obviously crops and fruits. Yeah. For pleasure and peace. And it is still got that peacefulness to it. Even though there's people walking around, it's got that calm and peaceful. Who looks after it now then?
I think it's this truss, I think it's the Dunraven.
Oh, it is. They've got their own truss.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice view from there, isn't it? Up to the top of the where we were.
Look at Porthcawl.
Yeah, Porthcawl in the distance.
Which is where I always say from Porthcawl, this is my favourite view.
Yeah.
It's really calming down there.
Quiet. Even though there's quite a few people in it.
Yeah, it's still got that peaceful feel.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a tree.
SJ's hugging a tree. Does that make you feel better?
Yeah.
Good. Southerndown's a small coastal village, just a handful of houses, but it's always been popular. On what they call the Witch's Point, there's evidence of a Iron Age hilltop fort dating back to 500 BC. And since then, there's Roman influence been found, and more recently the Victorians wanted to turn Southerndown into one of their seaside resorts, putting 2 big hotels in the village. But from a local railway station that runs along the Glamorgan coast, they used to horse and cart them into the 2 hotels, but for transport reasons it didn't quite work out. And since then the 2 hotels, large houses, one's in disrepair and one's been sold on. And I found out recently that one they call the Marine Hotel, they used to have a model of that in Tenby in a glass cabinet, but it's obviously still there, but it's not on display anymore. But going back when there was a castle here, Ogmore Castle, where we visited last time, was owned by a Norman knight, William de Londres, I want to say. He was away on a trip, and while he was away, one of his top stewards was in charge when they got attacked, and he managed to fight the invaders off. And to reward him, he was given the plot of land here at Dunraven. His name was Bortillet, and he built a castle here, the very first castle back in the 1100s. And the tenure of that castle was that every time his knight boss visited, he would have to pay him with 3 glasses of wine. Just up the road in the village there is a pub called the 3 Golden Cups. It's the coat of arms that is still owned by the Butler family, which is the French, because obviously Norman original, that has evolved into the name Butler, which is still on their coat of arms. The reason for us starting this YouTube channel is just to take you on some adventures with hopefully a little bit of information along the way, but it doesn't all revolve around necessarily walking, although it must be said that along this coast there are some stunning walks with some fantastic scenery and beautiful places. Between this place being an Iron Age fort and then the Normans making it their home in the 1100s, this place was also frequented by the Vikings or the Danes, and evidence of that is around by the names. And I believe that Dunraven is actually originally derived from the meaning 3 rock, and you've got Tusker Rock, which is just off of the coast between here and Ogmore by Sea, which has always been a hazard for shipping, and there's several wreckages or pieces of wreckage still on the rock when it's visible at low tide. And Tusker was apparently a Viking who lived in the area back in the 7th, 8th, 9th century. I'm not sure when it was. But there's a lot of the names around this area. Lallaston, which is local to us, is actually a Viking or Scandinavian name. And then you've got Skomer Island not far, which is obviously a Scandinavian name, as well as many others. Yeah, so another story regarding this place when it was a castle. More recently, although still over 100 years ago, was May Tech, this is in the 1890s, came here with her parents. She went on to marry the Duke of York, who then became King George V, and she became Mary of Tech, who was the late Queen's grandmother, favourite grandmother who she used to write to regularly, and great-grandmother of Charles III. And when she came to stay here, they visited a place called the Red House, which is on Newton Beach, just a mile or so away from here. And it must have been ruins even then. But the Red House was used by smugglers back in the day. And the Turpin gang, now I don't know if the Turpin gang is the same Turpin gang who was the highwayman, but there is, so it is said, a tunnel that goes from the Red House, or used to go where the Red House used to be, it's no longer there, under the church at Newton, onto the Jolly Sailor, which is a pub in Newton. And whether that tunnel is still there or not, whether it ever really existed, but the late Queen's grandmother went there. Let's go and find out. Well, that's another end of another adventure with us.
Pub was too busy to get in.
Yeah,
so
well, we did try and finish off. After talking about it, the 3 golden cups, but we couldn't get in, and every other pub on the way home was completely rammed as well. So join us next time.
yeah, on our next adventure, wherever that would be.
Yeah, and come walking with the Wilcos. Until then, ta-da.
Ta-da.